They're afraid. There's no other reason.
You are Locked On Trojans, your daily podcast on the USC Trojans, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Fight on, everyone. I'm your host, Mark Hulkin, and thank you for making Locked On USC part of the Locked On Network your first listen every day. Whether you're watching the show on YouTube, wherever you're downloading your podcast, this show is always free, and you know I always appreciate your support. Today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. Make every moment more. As the playoffs wind down, the sports stop sporting like we want them to. But this summer, FanDuel is hooking up all their customers with a boost and a bonus, and they're doing it daily. That's right. There's something for everyone. Every day, all summer long, visit FanDuel.com to get started. You know, when you're scared, you tend to lash out, say things, do things that you typically wouldn't do, something out of the ordinary. So one of two things is going on right now over there at ESPN, SEC Media Days. Check that. I'm confident two things are happening at the same time right now. Number one, ESPN's ratings, they've been plummeting for a while. Nobody is tuning into that channel unless there's an actual game going on. So I think they're looking for some eyes and ears. All right. I think the last thing Southeastern Conference fan wants is they don't want to see a dominant USC Trojan football program. They just don't. Everyone remembers the dynasty that Pete Carroll built. Wasn't that long ago. One score ago. But look, everyone knows what USC is capable of doing when they're rolling, when they got all their ducks in a row. Everybody's reading from the same book. It literally took the NCAA and their friends in really low places to bring the program down. Otherwise, who knows what happens? Everyone also remembers the SEC getting their arses handed to them when they played USC. When USC was good, they played everybody, anyone, any place, anytime, and they took care of business. Well, like I said, SEC Media Days are going on this week, and apparently they don't want to see that phoenix rising from the ashes because for some reason, I can't figure out why ESPN and the SEC is making USC, not South Carolina, not USC Junior, the real USC. Why are they making them the topic du jour? Someone explain this to me. First, you had Paul Feinbaum, going off on unhinged rants, diatribe filled with lies, falsehoods, innuendo. And then ESPN stepped it up. They brought out Mad Dog Russo, some New York honk, to be USC's surrogate and make the case for Lincoln Riley. Hello, McFly. What is going on? This thing, you want to know how uninformed these guys were? The argument that was being made, it had to have been staged. It has to be sarcasm, satire. Mad Dog Russo says, USC football has been around since 1910 and Newt Rockne. Yeah. USC played a team that had Newt Rockne, but it was a little bit after 1910. Anyways, I give him credit for knowing USC's Heisman Trophy history, mostly. But the question is this: why are these slings and arrows coming from the ESPN hosts? And those guys are going back and forth, and you see another one sipping his coffee. He's making that, ooh, did he really just say that face? Oh no, he didn't. What are you doing? It's like, ooh. You have to be watching the show to see the face I made if you're listening. So, I don't know. Is this ESPN's way of welcoming the Oklahoma fans, making them feel like, long lost kin? Welcome home. Where you been, cousin? First of all, why in the hell does Oklahoma fan need their egos stroked to feel accepted by the SEC? Got enough history and tradition on your side. You don't need this type of football washing. They don't. Oklahoma, they don't need it because this really looks contrived and it looks stupid. It looks really forced. So I'm thinking, in the back of their minds, the SEC, ESPN, they know USC's offense is going to be just fine in the Big Ten Conference this year. Not going to suffer. Their question is, and we've been talking about it all off season long on Locked On USC, part of the Locked On Network, your team every day. Can USC play defense with Lincoln Riley as the head coach? That's the question. Look, we already know Paul looks really stupid for contradicting himself when he said that Riley was the greatest hire ever and USC will win a national championship. He said that when USC hired him. Just not even 3 full years ago yet. So what I think happens, I think he saw the defensive staff that Coach Riley put together, and that is scaring the crap out of the SEC powers that be. So they're doing what many in the media like to do. They make up lies, and they repeat them over and over and over again until proven wrong over and over and over again. Again, it's SC Media Days, and USC is trending on X because ESPN trotted out a couple of page shrills to get some clicks, to get some eyeballs tuning in during the day to their First Take show. Yeah, I couldn't tell you the last time I tuned in to watch that show. And I'm being honest. I cannot tell you the last time I watched that show. If it wasn't for X, formerly known as Twitter, I wouldn't even know about this. So again, when they say, it's often said when they stop talking about you, that's when it's time to worry, right? When you're famous, it's often said when they stop talking about you, that's when you worry. Well, it's time to be worried because they're talking about us. And they're still talking about USC because they're scared of I think they see, 12-team playoff format. That probably gives USC a really good chance. It's going to give them a much better chance than they were given during the BCS era. Now think about it. Why is this narrative at the top of the list? I mean, back in 2003, USC and LSU, they split the national championship. 4 years later, how many of you remember this? Well, I know USC fans will remember this. Stanford upsetting USC in the Coliseum, 2007. Well, when that final score was announced, LSU's Tiger Stadium, it exploded. And you would have thought they just won the national championship. When the final score was announced during their game, the crowd went gonzo. In fact, not only the crowd, both teams, the sidelines, they were jumping up and down and dancing. So I think they sense that, you know what? On paper, USC looks pretty good defensively with that coaching staff. And they're thinking, you know what? We know USC is going to be fine offensively. And I think they're just trying to, gin up some drama, some talking points for that USC LSU game, which will be here in 45 days. A month and a half. Isn't that great? All right. So I just mentioned USC's defensive coaching staff. We're going to talk about that in the next segment in a roundabout way. Trust me. Stick around for this next segment. I know you're going to, but if you're looking at the rundown there, you see what I said? The analytics say USC will be 12-0. I didn't say this. I'm not making that prediction. The analytics are. Stick around and you'll find out who said that. I love sports. I love college football. I love college basketball. I love USC sports. In fact, I love them so much, I don't want them to stop. But the playoffs are winding down. We've got Major League Baseball going on right now, which is great. Big Dodgers fan. But the sports really aren't sporting the way I want them to. However, FanDuel lets me keep the sports going whenever I want. All I have to do is open up the app and dream up a bet anytime I'm in the mood. And this summer, FanDuel is hooking up all customers with a boost or a bonus, and they're doing it daily. That's right. There's something for everyone every day, all summer long. So head on over to FanDuel.com/locked on and start making the most out of the summer. FanDuel, an official sports betting partner of Major League Baseball. All right. I don't want you to turn on ESPN for a few days. Put them in the penalty box. But even if you turn on Fox Sports, someone's yelling, right? You don't have to listen to anybody yell. Make the switch to Locked On Sports Today. It's a free 24/7 sports streaming channel, and it's programmed for you every day to bring you the biggest stories without all the yelling. Locked On Sports Today brings you can't-miss analysis, news, and opinions, and it's streaming for you 24/7 on YouTube or the free Amazon Fire TV channels app, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Who likes analytics? Are you into that stuff? Number crunching, stats, trends? One of my everydayers sent me a link to a podcast with an Oklahoma host. Excuse me. And the guest was Adam McClintock. He's the college football professor. And I apologize for not having the name of the podcast in front of me. Let me get that for you as I ramble, because that would be the right thing to do. Give credit where credit is due. So Javier Flores, thank you for sending me the link. It goes to ramble, the Hall of Fame College Football podcast. Good show, hosted by a couple of Oklahoma guys. Anyways, back to this. They had a guest on, Adam McClintock, college football professor, and he does analytics. And apparently he has a hit rate of 75%. That's a really good prediction rate when you're using his formula. He uses 5 basic factors to determine how a team will do. Number 1, returning production on the team. So based on USC's returning production, he has USC going 12-0. That's one of the factors. The talent, the roster on the talent. The talent on the roster. Anyways, the coaching staff efficiency. This is a big one. I kind of touched on that at the end of the first segment. Number 4, home field advantage. Remember that one. Number 5, program trajectory. He uses over the last 3 to 5 years. And again, I'm not sure how much each of these variables is weighted, but that's his formula. So you've got returning production, roster talent, coaching staff efficiency, home field advantage based on your schedule, and the program trajectory, which I guess is a little bit subjective. So based on that information, the college football professor's preseason predictions, by the way, have been correct 73% of the time. Preseason, his predictions come true 73% of the time. Okay, check this out. His model updates itself during the season. Okay, and after the model updates itself, the prediction accuracy, it actually increases up to 76%. So just by keeping the data very simple, those 5 data points, you can get some really good results. You don't have to start plugging in a whole bunch of stuff. Remember, more crap in, more crap out. He said he started doing this back in 2008. The Matrix Analytics prediction algorithm for how the college football playoff top 25 will be ranked, his is even more accurate than ESPN's FPI model. Wow. That's their power index. So stay with me, Trojan fans. Trust me, you're going to love this. Now, according to the professor, they have never missed a top 4 with their prediction model. I was like, okay, you got my attention. So is everyone sitting down? Good. Take a deep breath. One of the surprises that the model spit out is it has USC going 12-0. Not the professor. That wasn't his prediction. That wasn't my prediction. That was taking those data points, plugging them in, running the algorithm, and all of a sudden, USC is going to be 12-0 at the end of the regular season. What was funny when I was watching the podcast was the reaction from the Oklahoma host. Hysterical. So the model loves what Coach Riley did with the defensive staff. Again, it goes back to analytical point number 3, coaching staff efficiency. Antonlynn, what he did in his 1 year at UCLA. Coach Matt Enns, what he's done as a head coach at North Dakota State. You see where I'm going with this? Doug Belk, Eric Henderson. So you're everyone, I think, should be able to agree. All right, let's not quibble over this. I get it. A lot of Oklahoma fans who watch this show, and I really do appreciate your support. Keep watching every day. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Even I know how much you cannot stand Coach Riley. You call him Tebow. We'll let everybody figure out what that acronym stands for. But I think everyone would agree. Coach Riley, when it comes to offense, he's a savant. I mean, he really is. I mean, he's like Dustin Hoffman and Rain Man. He just knows the answers when it comes to offense. So the question is USC going to go 12-0? I know everyone's listening right now. They're probably laughing their asses off. But again, I didn't make this prediction this year. This year, my prediction, preseason, while everybody's healthy, I'm in the 10-2 camp. The professor, Adam McClintock, pardon me, he has USC winning 9 games. That's his personal opinion. Okay, so he's a really smart guy. Some think I'm not. It's all right. I got him going 10-2. He's got him going 9-3. Are we really that far off? And check this out, USC fan, LSU fan, if you're watching. A couple of you are, I know it. That model, it has the USC LSU game as a toss-up. I know the early betting lines has the Tigers giving up 6.5 points. All right. We'll see what that is the closer we get to game time. They also had agreed with me that USC's only tough road game this year is at Michigan. And they pointed out, as well as I have been pointing out during this offseason, the Wolverines are replacing a lot everywhere. Coaching, players. This is not the same Michigan team that won the national championship last year. I'm not saying USC is going to walk in there and walk out with a victory, but the game isn't as difficult as everyone wants it to be. That's all I'm saying. So USC beats LSU. If USC beats Michigan, that model's going to update itself again. And I have a feeling that whatever the prediction rate is, it's going to keep going, trending to 12-0. I really do. I think I understand why Paul Feinbaum and ESPN they kind of gone off the reservation. They saw the analytics. What else could it be? And they know that if USC makes the playoffs, anything's possible. So all that stuff that I've been talking about this offseason, why I think USC can win 10 games, I have the support from a college football professor whose predictions are better than ESPN's, especially when it comes to making the playoffs. Just saying. I'm going to reach out. I'm going to see if I can get the professor to come on the show in the future. I found that really interesting, and I want to say thank you to my everyday listener, Xavier. Appreciate that. Javier. Apologize. Again, thank you. You guys, anything you want me to pay attention to, send me a note. You know where to find me on X, Instagram. Hit me up on YouTube. What are the biggest things you want to see change when it comes to recruiting? I've got my own new rules, to be honest with you. I was having a conversation with a friend of mine who, he's involved in recruiting. Does it daily. It's a job. And I was telling him, he'd give me the note that Dominic Kelly, cornerback, defensive back, he's going to go, he's heading out to IMG Academy. All right. Mike Williams was his coach. Well, Mike Williams is now at USC doing his thing. BMW, Mike Williams. And when we were talking about that, I kind of made the comment, why, whatever happened to the kids growing up in the neighborhood and wanting to rep the high school that they live down the street from? What happened to that? What happened to that neighborhood pride? It's gone. Everybody now wants to go to IMG Academy, and I get it. You're going to get fantastic training. Don't get me wrong. It's a great opportunity. But, the other side of the thing is, again, I'm a little bit old school. And it's not just because of my age. I'm in my 50s. Loyalty is really big to me. It's a value I really put a lot of emphasis on. It means something. It's high up on my totem pole. So, I made the comment, I'm getting a little burnt on the way things are working in recruiting and how, high school, and I use the term kids, 15, 16, 17-year-olds are making these decisions. And I get it. They believe they're looking out for their own best interest. But still, the thought of me just going to a certain school because they have a better chance of doing better in football, I don't know. Like I said, I'm not a fan of the path of least resistance. I enjoy challenges. And you know what? If you're good, if you've got talent, it doesn't matter where you play, they'll find you. And if your coach is doing his duty, he's sending out film, he's making sure programs know who you are. You don't think those head coaches at those high schools don't get a little bit of an ego when Lincoln Riley or a Brian Kelly or Ryan Day or any of these coaches show up on campus? Of course they do. It's a day to puff out their chest. Hey, I got somebody on my squad that one of those programs is interested in. So I kind of went off on a little bit of a different tangent here. But this is what I want to change with recruiting. Okay, number one, and I've talked about this before, I want to get rid of the signing periods. Get rid of the early signing period in December. Get rid of the traditional February signing date. I don't want any more verbal commitments. We're done with that. No more, no mas. Look, starting next year, student athletes are going to be employees of the universities. The schools are going to be paying them directly. I don't know what their actual designation will be, but for all intents and purposes, they will be on the university's payroll. I'm calling them an employee. So I don't want any more verbal commitments. If you come on an official visit and you tell Coach Riley, yeah, I want to play here. I want to go to school here. I want to be developed here. All right, great. Here's your employment contract. Let's sign your name right now. Walk over there. That's House of Victory's office. They'll give you your signing bonus. And let's make sure you have all the proper paperwork necessary. So when it's time to enroll for classes, you'll be ahead of the game. That's it. You know what? Sign your contract. You're going to attend USC. You're going to play football. Let's just get it over with. No more waffling. No more wavering. And because we're going to do it this way, this is how you curtail the transfer portal. Because that's the biggest problem I have with today's college football recruiting, that whole players being able to transfer kind of when they want and having multiple opportunities to do that. Not a fan. So If we're going to play adult games, let's play by the adult rules. Okay? If you're going to make a commitment to be employed somewhere, to learn how to be a better person on and off the field, great. Let's get the business part of it out of the way. You don't need to think about it, because if you need to think about it, you're not ready to make a commitment. That's why I really want to get rid of these things, because they were really never worth anything to begin with. They're worth even less today with NIL going on. Look, when you're USC, you get used as leverage, and because USC is trying to get over the hump, prove that they can play football on both sides of the ball, there's a lot of negative recruiting going on. And so USC can make a really nice financial NIL offer. And then, Oregon or Ohio State, Alabama or Georgia or anybody, Oklahoma, Texas, whomever, they can say, what did USC offer you? All right. Oh, by the way, we'll do a little bit better. And oh, by the way, part 2, we don't have state tax. So USC's got to figure out a better way to play the game. And until that happens, and I'm in charge, we're going to change the rules to recruiting. I think this is the way to go. This is the way. So yeah, The Mandalorian. This is the way. All right, there you go. Another episode of Locked On USC in the books. I'll be back again tomorrow. I'm going to have a Friday rant. And I got a couple things I'm thinking about. Keep it to myself right now. I will get to USC basketball. I read the comment from one of my everydayers. You are absolutely correct. Let me just say this, and this is not an excuse, and I'm not defending myself, because I too am a huge basketball fan, USC basketball fan. Trying to be a Lakers fan, that's been really challenging lately. Whenever I talk about basketball, I get a lot of feedback. Why are you talking about basketball? So I gotta balance it out. And I know during the offseason I haven't talked about it. I apologize. We have a brand new head coach, new coaching staff, some really good players that they've obtained through the transfer portal. We need to give props to Harrison Hornery. In fact, I need to see if I can get him on the show, because he's the only one who lasted on Survivor Island. He was the sole survivor. He deserves some credit. He deserves one of these. And you know what? You know what to do until the next show.